Good morning. Hello. My name is Laura Chung. I am the author of How to Manifest, Make Your Dreams a Reality in 40 Days. And we are on day 20, right? Yes, we're on day 20, Healing the Past. And thank you for joining. I am in New York in the United States. So just let us know where you are in this world. And so we're halfway there. Oh my gosh. I was just actually looking up if there were any special alignments in the sky to speak about today. So today is February 9th, 2023. And we are in the waning phase of the moon. We just had the full moon in Leo on February 5th. And so the moon today is in Libra. It's going to be making oppositions to Chiron, Juno, and Jupiter. The ruler of this moon is Venus in Pisces. So it's going to be a very beautiful day. A really good day, actually, to do Venusian activities. So eating delicious food, buying yourself a new outfit, looking at art, making art, really calling in this Venus energy. So we're halfway there, like I mentioned, and I can't believe it, first of all. I shared my little manifestation story with all of you, I think it was 2 days ago, so make sure to, oh, I see a little orb. Do you see that? So cool. Yesterday we got was it yesterday we got the 9 of Cups? Now that I'm like getting all the days mixed up. But I think I'm going to stick to the Muse Tarot. Oh no, yesterday we got the 7 of Pentacles. And we're going to pick a card from this deck for today. February has been, well, first of all, 2022, no, even before that, 2020, 2021, 2022, what a doozy, right? I feel like collectively we've all gone through a lot together. And if you didn't know, I also host a podcast called Awaken and Align. New episodes will be coming out in March. So make sure to subscribe to my newsletter so you get notified, or download and subscribe to Awaken and Align. It's available on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. But I'm bringing this up because I just interviewed a Chinese Batsi astrologer, and we talked about the year of the Yang water tiger, which was last year. And we're now officially in the Yin water rabbit year. And these two animals represent spring and about rebirth. The tiger represented a lot of purging and a lot of death and a lot of release. And the rabbit is all about birth and creation. So make sure to listen to that episode when it comes out in March, because I think it's going to, in alignment with Western astrology, it's going to give us a lot of clues as to the kind of energies that we're currently in right now, because we're not going to be on this journey in March, because the 40 days will end on March 1st. But the reason why I did the 40 days before March is because we are all gearing up towards this massive change that's going to be initiated once March starts. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of astrology, I do talk about it every day in the journey that preceded today. And if you want to get a personal reading with me, I do one-on-one astrology readings, your natal chart, and also the transits. But starting in March, we're going to be different people. We're going to be in a completely different energy. We're going to be completely different people. And you're probably like, what are you even talking about? Because so many of the outer planets and the personal planets are moving out of signs. And it really is the initiation point of a new era and a new beginning. This is why we're doing this 40-day journey before March 1st to get you ready for what's to come. So just to give you an idea, On March 7th is when Saturn enters Pisces, and Saturn has been in its home sign, Capricorn and Aquarius, since 2017. This is why these last 6 years have been very difficult, because Saturn in its home sign is very powerful, and it's all about death and release and maturity and responsibility and just like the not so fun parts of life. But it was necessary in order for us to get to this point. Then later that month, Pluto will be in Aquarius, which hasn't happened in 250 years. The last time Pluto entered Aquarius was around the American Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, and the French Revolution. And Aquarius is the sign of revolution and change. Similar to that month, Mars will finally enter the sign of Cancer. Mars has been in Gemini since August of 2022. So 7 months, it's finally moving out into the sign of Cancer, which is a cardinal water sign. So this is what I'm saying. We're going to be entirely different people. We're going to see things in a different way. We're going to be transformed. We're going to be shifting into a whole new way of being, a way of being that's more in alignment with who we truly are, because ultimately Aquarius is all about authenticity. And if you want to learn more about this, you can look back at the new moon in Aquarius day, which was day 1, and the full moon in Leo day, which was day, I believe, 14 or 15, because this is why I scheduled this journey during this time, to get us ready for this energy that's coming in March. So Leo is all about shining brightly. It's being in your heart space. It's being in alignment with what you truly desire, your soul's print. And that's what I call most of my readings, your soul print, because you came here to do what you are supposed to do, not what anybody else is telling you to do. Aquarius, similarly, the sister sign, is all about authenticity and being in your true self. Both signs, Leo and Aquarius, talk about that, being authentic to you. But Aquarius is about the group and the collective, and Leo is about self. So Leo is all about, how do I see myself, and how do I see myself within the greater collective? We're not all meant to be the same. We're not all meant to be doing the same thing. We all have divine timing and cycles and phases. And once you understand that, and once you learn that, that's when you can take the time you need to rest. And that's when you can take the time to do. And we're out of balance as a culture because, again, late stage capitalism, where we just keep going and going and going, and we don't take the time to allow parts of ourselves to die, metaphorically, of course, to take time to incubate and to heal and to restore and to rest, to then birth into what we're meant to be doing, which is in March. And March is also the equinox, where there's equal light and day, and that's Aries season, which in astrology is the new year. I don't know if you knew that, but January 1st is based on the Gregorian calendar, and the new moon in Aquarius was based on the lunar calendar. But for astrologers, it's really when it's the first sign, which is Aries. It's I'm getting after it. So anyway, that was my little spiel on why this time is important and why things might feel like stagnant, stuck, confusing, or you have no idea what's happening, because we're loosening the things that we were holding on to from the past. And so going from Aquarius to Pisces season, which Pisces season starts, I believe, on February 18th, so next week. Pisces season is all about the oneness, the wholeness. It's the last sign of the zodiac too, so it's all about letting go, so that when we get to Aries season, it's all about, like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going after it. And it's going to be a very important part of your life this coming year, because we're going to have eclipses in this area of your life. So it's a really important time, because again, we're on week 3, and week 3 is coming to a close. Actually, tomorrow is the last day, I believe, of week 3, about healing your beliefs. And like I said on day 1, what we believe and the framework of our perceptions and how we were raised and how we grew up as kids really, like, affects the way we see ourselves and the way in which we see our world. Like, one thing that a lot of us were taught was that we had to work hard for money, right? I think everyone has heard that. But what if that's not true? And this is just a period about questioning and being curious. Like, why were we taught these things? Like, who said that? Like, who said that that's how it had to be? If money is energy, and if money is just a form of exchange, there's many different currencies that actually can be exchanged for services. So why do we all decide that it has to be money? Just questioning and being curious about things, not needing to also have the answer right away, because this is, again, like, we're just loosening of, I want to say loosening of the bonds, almost. Like, that word is coming into my head because all of these ideas and beliefs are so calcified in our minds since we were little, that it's like we have to loosen them up a little bit, just to maybe have a glimmer of, like, maybe it can be different, maybe. But anyway, day 20, healing the past. Healing is an art. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes love, by Maza Dota. Day 20 is all about healing. As we've explored before, healing your beliefs and perceptions is what will lead you to co-create with the universe. And it's a crucial part of the manifestation process. As you began moving through this world, you started to forget who you really are. Our collective amnesia, our collective disconnection with the divine, strips down our defenses and eats away at our strength. Healing is the process of remembering and rearming yourself after years of loss. Just as a reminder, you don't have to be healed to receive your blessings, because healing is not linear either. It's not like, boom, one day you're like perfect. Healing is just a process of becoming back into wholeness. We embark on a healing journey, not because we are damaged and broken, but to become closer to our soul and our true nature. And I also have to say that spiritual awakening is not even about becoming happier or becoming better. Spiritual awakening is becoming closer to your true nature, to your soul. It's the process of unfolding all of the stuff that you were indoctrinated into to remember who you are. That's what it is. And sometimes it can be like a dark night of the soul, because all of the things that you believed about yourself and of this world turns out not to be true. Yeah. All right. I mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. Healing is not linear. I see it as a spiral. I also see it as the ebbs and flows of life. Something might come back to trigger you that you thought you had already healed, but it might have come back in a different form. One thing to remember here is that you have more knowledge, experience, and wisdom this time around than when you did when you first were wounded. You are never at the same point on your healing journey, even if some days it might feel that way. The reason why so many of us fail at manifesting, and there's no failure, it's just we don't have enough information, right? Is because we are still carrying our own trauma and wounds from the past, as well as the intergenerational trauma carried by our ancestors. I was interviewed by somebody 2 days ago, and she asked me, what makes me different than the other manifestation teachers out there? And it's really through my own healing journey of my intergenerational and ancestral healing and trauma work. My teacher is Resma Medikim. That I realized, oh, this is like a huge part of manifestation that not many people talk about. So I'll continue reading and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. Han is a Korean word that indicates an intrinsic, visceral, gut feeling saturated with centuries of oppression, sorrow, anger, rage, and resentment. It includes the feelings of injustice that the Korean people and diaspora deeply feel and share. It is a word and response rooted in Korea's history, past and present, of foreign oppression and pain. You might be reading this and asking, what does this have to do with manifesting? The answer is that I believe many people can't manifest, or they give up on their manifestation journey because it's not as simple as change your thoughts, change your life, even though so many manifestation techniques put it just that simply. There's more to it than that. It's also about healing our intergenerational trauma surrounding the feelings of safety and security. The failure to manifest is often met with shame and guilt. People think they are doing it wrong. But the fact is that it might not just be about your personal efforts. Milagros Phillips, a race healer and a guest on my podcast, says that you need two things to heal: one, history, and two, being trauma informed. We can only heal what we know and understanding our history as well as our ancestral trauma will help us understand our own limiting beliefs and blocks. We can't change what we don't know and what we don't understand. So this also goes back to day 15 when we talked about like how our parents grew up and how our grandparents grew up, and the ways in which they saw things like money or relationships or like anything in life, right? Because literally epigenetically our bones and our DNA come from them. So if you're sitting here and you're manifesting money and your conscious mind, you're constantly like saying affirmations, I am rich, I am rich. But if nobody in your lineage, your parents, your grandparents have never been rich, then your body is not going to believe it. And that's where body literacy is very key. So my grandparents grew up in a Japanese colonial rule in Korea where they had to strip themselves of their identity. So they had to get rid of their Korean names. Both of my grandmothers had to get married to my grandfathers in order to not be sold into Japanese comfort women. And they were it was very dire times in Korea at that time. And so like knowing that, I understand the financial trauma that they might have gone through, never feeling safe and secure. And then that passed down to my parents who endured that trauma, but then also came to the United States, not knowing the language and having to make it here. And then to me, right? And so it doesn't take like a lot of like brain. It's not like a scientist needs to understand that, hey, maybe in my lineage there is a wound of safety and security, which is tied to how a lot of people feel about money. A lot of people feel that money, that feeling that money gives them is safety and security and freedom, oddly enough. So once I know that and I look at my parents and how they view money, it makes sense. And so this also is a practice of compassion, because had I been in their situation, maybe I would feel the same way, or maybe I would also have feelings of scarcity if it was never coming easier to me. So it's this like very interesting like healing loop that happens when you look back at your family history and how they viewed certain things, and it gives you more compassion for them, but then it also helps you understand like how you feel about something and your viewpoints about something. And that's all this is. This isn't like, oh man, like not playing the victim. It's like you realize what your ancestors went through to survive for you to thrive in this day and age. And that wasn't that long ago. Like my grandparents, like they're not here with us anymore, but it was just 2 generations away. So look at your parents, look at your grandparents. And if you don't know your like ancestral lineage or like what mother country they came from, just do a little like thinking, like, you know, it doesn't, you don't even need to know what country they came from. Most of our grandparents had to go through some kind of war, whether it was in the United States, going to Vietnam, or going to overseas in Europe in World War II, or if you can trace it way back, even like having any kind of ancestry anywhere, you had to probably go through some kind of war, some kind of desperation in terms of safety and security, because things were tough back then. So, and now, like some of my students were refugees in this lifetime. Like they had to flee their country, Afghanistan and Iran and places like that, in this lifetime, in their lifetime. So if that's like in your history, are you really gonna like convince your mind that you are a co-creator of the universe? Maybe not right away, but that's why it's important to understand where you came from so that you can start and go back to day 14 when we did the full moon in Leo release ritual, where I had you like sit there doing the box breath, holding your body. And that's how you start alchemizing. You start releasing those old emotions, those old feelings, and you start alchemizing that into your power, into wow, they went through all of that and I'm still here. I went through all of that and I'm still here. Like, wow. Because with every trauma, there's also wisdom. So we always talk about ancestral trauma and all the bad stuff, which is true, but there's also wisdom behind that. So there's like, I go on deeper and talk about like my own personal story between me and my parents and how I was able to heal a lot of the like ancestral wounds that are just even from my parents, let alone my grandparents. Because also being an immigrant to this country is there's a lot of trauma there as well. You know, there's a lot of racism, and there was a lot of, even in my own story, a lot of microaggressions as a Korean American, and really like reclaiming my identity and reclaiming that I love the Asian part of me, which is most of me, but I'm also American. So it's like this healing journey is why we're on day 20. It's like the halfway point, because when you start to like reconcile parts of yourself that maybe you've repressed or you've like decided to deny, uh, those parts of you come back to you. So, and we need to do all of this together, no matter who you are. If you are a person of color, person of the global majority, if you're white body, we all have to do this work together to heal together. We cannot have any more of the separation. It's just not healthy for us. So the exercise for today is self-healing. And so do something healing for yourself. Take a bath, listen to beautiful music, and um, and like I said, today is a Libra moon, and Libra is all about, it's ruled by Venus, and it's all about beauty and art and aesthetics. And it's ruled by this Venus in Pisces. And Venus in Pisces, if you have that in your chart, loves music and art and like beautiful things. Do something creative and expressive. And a lot of us might feel guilty for doing that because, again, we still live in a capitalistic society where we feel bad or guilty for taking time off because we should be working, we should be doing, we should be productive. But I again, like these are questions that I ask myself during this journey. Like, why? If we're here to experience life to the fullest, which is what I believe as souls, we came here to experience life, then why are we always just working? I know most of us have to work to survive, but I think part of it too is we came here to enjoy life um, and to live life and not just wait for these huge milestones, but to live in the moment. So the go deeper exercise is ancestral healing. If your parents are still with you and you feel open and called, ask them the following questions. How did you grow up? What was happening around you at the time? What were your parents' views on money, scarcity, and abundance? Was money tight? How did your parents get along? Did they ever argue about money? Were your parents even like in love? Like that's a good question to ask too, if you're calling in a soulmate. What were your parents' dreams? Did your parents pursue their dreams? What was your life like before you came along? You can also take a step further, research online what was happening in the news at the time when your parents were children or came of age. If your grandparents are still alive, that's even better. Ask them the same questions. And if they're not with you, then you can, if you have a relationship or practice with your ancestors in the other dimension, like as spirit guides, you can meditate and ask them. And one thing I learned from this process, and which I'm sure a lot of people can relate, is my parents, my grandparents, and a lot of people in my family, even in my generation, they never did what they wanted to do. They didn't pursue their dreams because they had to survive. They had to make money to feed their children. They had to, my dad is one of 6 and my mom is one of 5. So like birth control was not a thing. They had to have these babies. And then my poor grandmothers, they were like wives and mothers. Like they couldn't pursue their dreams. And then, you know, what that does to their children, like my mother's siblings, is, oh, like that's how these gender stereotypes and roles get perpetuated through the lineage. It's like, oh, women are just wives and just mothers, and we can't pursue our own dreams because that's selfish. And I'm just like, kabosh, that stops with me. So that's your exercise for today. Or even like in being like, I'm still learning about my own ancestors, and asking, even like I'm going next week, I'll be in Cartagena for my cousin's wedding. And so I'll see a lot of my aunties and uncles there. And I've been seeing them a lot because a lot of my cousins are getting married. So each time I see them, I ask them like, what did you want to do when you grew up? Like, what were your dreams and aspirations? And a lot of them say most of them couldn't pursue them because they were immigrants to this country and they had to start over and they had to make money. And so it just gives me more understanding about like how important what I'm doing is for me, because I'm kind of breaking that like generational curse of people not being able to do what they truly want, and what a gift that is. Like, and how much energy that gives me every day, waking up and being like, I get to do what I want to do. It's just like that to me is like the ultimate freedom. So tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow's day 21. It's the release ritual. So all of the days which I asked you to write something down and put it on your altar for the release ritual, that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And I have a little cauldron that I use to like burn things, but you can also save them to burn like in your backyard if you can, or if you can't burn anything, then you can rip it up, or yeah, you don't have to have a fire, because I know some people can't burn things in their home, but that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And yeah, as always, thank you for being here. And if any of you have any questions, you can ask me now in the chat. I'm happy to answer questions. And if you want to buy this book, you don't need it because I read from it a lot. You can buy it from Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, IndieBound, bookshop.org. It's also available on Audible and Kindle. So yeah, and all the links to work with me are down below. Thank you so much for this beautiful day. Tomorrow is day 21. We're officially 3 weeks in. So I will see you tomorrow.